Okay. All right, all right. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm gonna give it a minute. So looking forward to sharing um, this habit that I've developed, this routine that is a massive, massive game changer. And I'm actually going to do it by sharing a couple slides that really get across this message. We only have 30 minutes booked, so I'm going to make the most of it. Um, let's go. So, this session being our first in a while, I wanted to go through kind of the basics so that everybody understands the purpose, what we're doing, why we're doing it. Okay. And since this is the end of the first month for the new year, I thought it's the perfect time to just do a quick refresher. And when you do this every month of the year, the end of year, like in December, when you start to look at what's possible for the future and what you want to achieve and attract, this is going to make it so easy for you to pull all of the summaries that you made every month and go through that reflection with a lot more ease. All right. So, when we talk about timelines, I am going to offer this every month. The end of every month, we are going to do this check in. All right. This timeline marker. And the title of it is Reflect and Release, because the first step is for you to be aware, become aware at the memories that you're holding on to from when we do it at the end of the year, from the year or from your past. But then this one is from the month that just occurred. All right. Um, so release to receive. How am I going to switch pages? Here we go. I want you to start thinking about your life and what you want. And I know for a lot of the clients who are already working with me, you're already doing this work, but this is just a new habit that has you doing it way past when we are no longer working together. I want to become a habit that you instill for yourself for your benefit. All right. It's all about your lifestyle, your contribution, and how you spend your days. You have the ability and the power to attract better, to attract more. And this is all available to you when you do this type of work. All right. What I'm going to suggest to you is that a lot of what attracts the results you're getting right now is your self image. How you see yourself is creating the reality that you're currently living. Your current circumstances are just replaying back to you what you believe about yourself. What's possible, what you're capable of, what you're deserving of, okay? And the truth is there are no limits. There's no limits. You have infinite potential. You have infinite ability to attract everything that you desire. And I have people who are like, I get it, Kate, I'm with you, I agree. But then as we talk a little bit longer, little things pop up as they start to explain to me why something wasn't possible for them or why something didn't work. And that is showing you your self image. That is showing you your deeper rooted belief system, even though logically you're like, this makes sense. I want better. If you're not willing to deal with those underlying gremlins, it's not going to change. Okay. So that is the purpose of this work. This is your life. As far as we know, we get one shot at it. We get one shot at this precious, precious life. And as many of you are well aware, and as I'm well aware, we're not promised tomorrow. The people around us aren't promised tomorrow. Everything could go away like that. And so we need to be grateful now. We need to take our big leaps of faith now. And we need to acknowledge what we're capable of now and stop waiting until the day is perfect. So, three really important questions. How does self image impact my life? How does your self image impact your life? You know, when you ask somebody, like, tell me about yourself. Tell me, like, my big opener, whenever I meet with somebody who's looking to possibly work with me as a coach, I always say, give me your elevator pitch on you. What do you think is most important for me to know about you as a person? And the stuff that people share is really insightful because it tells me what they value at the moment and what they think about themselves, right? And so that immediately tells me what results they're attracting into their life right now because they're telling me what they see for themselves. So I want you to think about, what is your current self image? Do you go, I always um, buy the cheapest option, or I only buy when there's discounts, or I wait until my stuff is ratty before I replace it, which could be coming from a fear place, a place of lack, a place of worry that there won't be something new to come, or you won't have enough one day, so you're holding on. That's part of a self image. If it's, I'm not good with money, that could be hurting you in your financial decisions because your subconscious mind believes you and it wants to prove you right. So whenever you say something that isn't for your best outcome, for your best benefit, you're only setting yourself up to stumble, to continue to make the wrong steps forward. So, how is self image formed? We know that self image is formed from a variety of different places. It's from our upbringing, it's from our genetics, it's from the examples that we witnessed, our environment. There's so many different components of what makes up our self image. But I think when you think about those deep rooted ones that are impacting the specific area that you want different results, whether it's financial, relationships, professional, physical, you can think back and think, okay, what inputs have I had into my self image with regards to that area? You know, did somebody say something to me about my physical image? Is it the marketing and social media that I'm being like kind of force fed right now? Is it the way that friends told me who I was when I was younger? Or does my spouse keep reaffirming like that I'm bad with money or that I'm a hoarder? You've got to take it in. Like, where are you getting the message of where your current self image is coming from? And consider how that is, again, just recycling those beliefs brings about the same results, right? You want to prove yourself right. So even if it means self-sabotage, that comfort of knowing you're right will cause us to unintentionally, sometimes unconsciously, make decisions that keep us where we are, right? And how is self-image changed? So anyone who works with me knows that I know there are two ways to change deeply written paradigms. Paradigms, what do we know them as? Habitual behavior, habitual thoughts, habitual feelings, emotions. How do we change those? We know there are two main ways. One, emotional impact. The example I always use that I heard that I thought really was poignant, 9/11. There was before 9/11 happened, and then there was after. There was an emotional impact that happened when the Twin Towers were hit, and it affected our security, our travel, our global awareness, racism. It changed so many things for so many people immediately because of the emotional impact. You were a changed person. There's also repetition. So the way to change your self-image is either through an emotional impact, so choosing something that will create an emotional impact for you, or the repetition. So repetition of changing, choosing new thoughts, changing and choosing new habits. So there's what's there, and you can't just stop doing something. You can't just stop berating yourself. But what you can do, choose some of those berating ideas, write them out, flip them. What is the opposite of that awful thing I keep saying to myself? And then repeat that like crazy. Put it on post-it notes, put it on a reminder on your phone. Tell people around you to remind you, whatever it is, you want to be bombarded with new belief systems in this area that you care about. And for a lot of people, if they're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, like they're not like, I don't want to keep saying victim, but like you're powerless. Maybe you're watching too much news. Maybe you're watching too many things that are out of your realm. And maybe you need to start listening to certain podcasts or reading certain books that speak to who you want to be, that speak to the person you're becoming. Maybe you want to be around different people who reflect back to you the kind of person you want to be. You know, you're around those people and immediately you sit taller, you dress better because they just bring that out in you just by being them. That repetition of choosing your environment, choosing the information that comes in, being really intentional about it, those are ways that you can help the change naturally happen. You're going to retrain your subconscious mind. Okay. So let's look at your mind and your paradigms. This is something that Bob Proctor taught that has stayed with me and will forever stay with me. This is a trademark to their business. This is the stick man. I believe it came from someone named Truman. They had a stick person, and Bob Proctor kind of modified it. So, what he used this for was he said that you have to be able to visualize something to change it. And so, if I say, "What color is your front door?" or "What color is your bed sheet or your duvet?" You can go there in your mind to picture it to tell me. But if I say, what does your mind look like? If you can't picture something, a lot of people say a brain, they'll picture like a mushy jello pink thing. But if you don't come up with anything when I say mind, then it's going to be difficult for you to make changes to how your mind is working and what your mind does for you. And so this is what Bob Proctor made to give you an image in your mind of what the mind looks like. All right, so this little round circle, the top part is considered your conscious mind, and the bottom half is considered your subconscious mind. And then the bottom is your body. So that is the instrument of taking action and making things happen based on your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. So the inputs that we are being bombarded with right now, social media, TV, movies, news, other people's fears, doubts, worries, because people love to share those way more than they love to share the good. Imagine there's like an 8-lane highway all coming in with this information constantly. That is the repetition that is needed for you to change your belief systems. So if you allow that to happen without choosing it intentionally, it is creating beliefs in you about who you are, what you're worthy of, what you're deserving of. And are you choosing those with intention, or are you just like whatever comes on? So when we think about our conscious mind, that's our thinking mind, right? That is our educated mind. That is our intellect. That is what we choose to focus on and do and think about. And that is where we accept or reject ideas. This is where we want to change everything that's happening underneath the conscious mind, because the subconscious mind, this is where decisions are really being made. This is what drives your behavior. This is what moves your body, is the subconscious beliefs underneath. So you could hear something that sounds logical, but if deep down inside you don't feel worthy or deserving, you will do things in the opposite of what you know needs to be done because you don't feel deserving. All right. So the conscious mind is kind of like all of your senses, what you see, hear, feel, touch, smell, taste. And your subconscious mind is kind of that underneath, taking in whatever had an emotional impact or whatever is being repeated all the time. And that's what it says. Okay, that's what really matters to this person. So if you think about, like, all of a sudden, this is another example that's overused, but it works. If you're looking at buying a red car, or you just bought a new red car, what do you see everywhere on the road? Red cars. If you are pregnant and you're going to have a baby, what do you see everywhere? Babies, pregnant people. Like, you find what you are interested in, what you care about. That's your subconscious mind going, this matters to that person. I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to highlight it for them everywhere we go. Why not use this to our advantage? Why not tell our subconscious mind what really matters, what results we really crave, a vision of what we desire, and then fill it with everything it needs to realize that's what I want, and naturally just start to attract. Your energy will change, your feelings will change, and that will start to change what you attract. So we know that our conscious mind is driven by our thoughts. Our subconscious mind is driven by emotion, by how those thoughts make us feel. And then our body is driven by how we feel. So the first stop is we need to think differently. All right. So the power of your mind. This is your self-image. So self-image inputs. Our senses feed our subconscious mind, right? I already said this, what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So it's just taking in everything. It's being bombarded. Other tools used by our incredible mind are our higher faculties. These are things that we have access to that other mammals, other living beings don't necessarily have access to that we're aware of. And this is perception, will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. All right, we're going to go into those in much deeper detail when you're going through our regular program. But for right now, you can look those all up. You can understand what they are. I recommend, instead of assuming you know what it means, go look it up in the dictionary. Really deep dive. Okay, what does this actually mean? Because some people say, imagination, I'm not really creative. I don't really have an imagination. We all do. People can say, I don't have a great memory. That's a belief. All of us can improve our memory skills. There's tons of books out there, tons of trainings on how to improve your memory. These are all things that we can use to our advantage. And memory is actually a big one of why we're doing release to receive. So by having an intentional timeline marker to reflect and release, it's going to allow you to live this year with intention and with purpose and with impact. So if we set it every month that we're going to do this reflection, and we are going to be intentional about what we feed our subconscious mind and what we remove so that our subconscious mind doesn't believe it as fact and start attracting that or keep attracting that, that's what's going to make the difference. So we take it 1 month at a time, reflecting forward. So celebrating our life by learning from it and striving for more. I think that that is the end. So here's where we get into, we want to release to receive. So when we reflect on this past month, you can do this by, if you already were somebody who is journaling, like I know that I'm doing the release to receive. So every day I'm writing down things, or most days, if I did something or I learned something and it was a good experience, or if I perceived it as a challenge, I write them all down. And if I put down the challenges, I'm automatically writing what was the lesson that I learned from this challenge, because there was always good coming from it. I will go through pictures in my photo album, because you can filter it by the month and be reminded of different things that happened. You can go through your calendar, your online or paper calendar, and look at all of the meetings you had, the people you saw, the events you attended, and remind you of those things. I want you to look to all the different sources you have to remind you of how this month went. And then when you do that, I want you to look for the experiences or exchanges or events that happen that left you with a negative reflection of yourself. So whether it's like, oh, I'm always late, or I'm so undependable, or, I don't think that person loves me anymore. Whatever happened throughout the month that left you with that fear-based thought, I want you to write it out. Get it out of your head and onto the paper. And it feels gross. It doesn't feel good to write out that realization. But like I said, you're going to take those, you're going to flip them into their opposite. What would be a more empowering way to look at that? What would make me feel better? And you're going to look at all of the things that went well or better than expected, all of your wins. And I mean, acknowledge everything. Like the other day, I wrote down that in the morning on the drive to school, my youngest daughter and I were kind of battling a little bit getting out the door. So when we drove to school, I held her hand, and her little soft hand, she let me hold it, and her little thumb was rubbing my hand. And I wrote that down as a win, because her little thumb and her little hand won't be that little forever. And I know I'm going to miss these days when I get to spend this time with these girls, and they're going to have their own lives, their own families, and this will be over for me. And I was so grateful for that moment. When you get down to that level of detail of what are you grateful for, and the areas specifically that you want better results, maybe it's you want better financial results, or you want a better professional result, really dig into those areas. What came up for you this month about you as a professional? Anything that's not self-serving, not moving you forward, write it out, flip it, and then you're going to repeat the opposite to yourself, whether you do it in affirmations, whether you put it as reminders on your phone, whether you just write it out every day. Do things to repeatedly remind yourself that that's not true. That's not who you are. Just because it had an emotional impact in the moment, you don't want your subconscious mind to hold on to that, right? You want it to have like the goldfish memory for that. Release it. So we reflect, and then we release. And when we release what doesn't serve us, we open ourselves up to receive more of what we do want. And so by going through and acknowledging all the wins and celebrating all of the good in your life, this allows you to attract more of it and be intentional with the next month when you're setting your intentions. What do I want this month? I want more of these things. I want to, and maybe whatever negative experiences happened, okay, how can I approach that differently this month? If that comes up again, what would I do different? Or what areas do I know I need to work on? So maybe you start reading books on that topic or on that industry. All of these things, when you use your mind with intention, are figure outable, right? You can solution for yourself. But if you don't stop to realize the things that are happening that are making you believe something about yourself, or they're reaffirming a negative belief you have about yourself, things are not going to change. You have to acknowledge what you're telling yourself and choose different. All right. This has worked for me when it came to my physical health. As soon as I stopped just believing I had a broken body, it never worked for me. I always yo-yoed. Whenever I got in better shape, I'd immediately lose it, or something would happen, or I would get sick. As soon as I stopped believing those things, they stopped happening. But I had to acknowledge that I was the one who kept thinking that over and over. And when I started to have beliefs about money, about, oh, we got to track our debt, we got to track our debt. And then I learned, like, what you focus on, what you track, you attract. So why would I track debt? Instead, I started tracking my net worth, and I started looking at ways to grow my net worth. I'm still acknowledging where our debts are. I'm also acknowledging our assets. And then I'm figuring out between the two of those, saving and getting rid of that unnecessary consumer debt. My net worth was growing up. It was always a positive experience. So then I started to change my belief system about how I knew my numbers and how in tune I was with my money and how I respect my money and I love my money. And then guess what? It started to grow. When I started to have an expectation, like, I can't even remember how long ago I started doing this, but say it was, oh my God, if I could hold $1,000 balance in my checking account the whole month, no matter what, bills paid, whatever, I could just hold that thousand. That would be a miracle. If I didn't go down to like pennies and cents before the next payday, that would be amazing. Then when that started happening, I'm like, well, what if it was 2,000? Held that belief, held that focus for a number of months, and then all of a sudden 2,000 was no big deal to hold in my checking account because I was intentional. I was setting a target for myself. I was giving myself direction. Then that was always taken care of before the spending or the savings. And then I was like, okay, then what's next? And like eventually, I'm going to have a $40,000 in my checking whenever I need it in case I want to use it. And that's not to say, okay, shouldn't you be investing it or having your money make money? This is with me having more than enough money that I know what to do with. I'm already set up. I'm already putting away. I'm already taking care of myself, my team, my family. This is just for fun money. Your belief systems affect how you show up, what actions you take. And so we need to start thinking thoughts that have us feeling empowered, feeling good, feeling certain of ourselves so that we can continue to level up. And I want that next level unlocked for you. And it will be when you do this reflection. All right. So whether you do it like me and you spend the time throughout the month to do little check ins, as you think of them. That'll save you a lot of time. Or if you do it on the last day of the month and you just go through, like I said, your calendars, your pictures, your social media, and you just get reminded of all of the different experiences you had. And you go through what things made you feel or thoughts you had, and you clean that all up and you choose what you want to take forward with you and you choose what you want to leave behind and release. And release, guys. We don't say let it go because what's let go you could get back. We want to release it for good, right? You don't want to lose something. You don't want to lose weight because then you could find it. You want to release that weight, let it go for good. All right. This is all that I have for you today. I am doing this. Do this with me. And then if you feel called to share what you discovered about yourself in January of this year. And then going forward, we will continue to do this every month. And you will notice big changes when you're intentional about the beliefs you choose versus the ones you just accept for yourself. No settling. You deserve better. If you want change, make change happen by using the systems that are already developed within us. Those actions we take to self sabotage or keep us where we are doesn't take any effort, right? It's our comfort zone. So if we replace that comfort zone with a higher level comfort zone, you will just naturally attract better into your life in any area that you care about. I'm here if you have any questions. I'm happy to work through this with you. Please do this work with me. It will change your life. I promise you. All right. Much love, everybody. Have a wonderful last day of the month, and I will see you in February.